Hey everyone, this is Thorolore. I made a new plugin for Lotro called SequenceBars, and I would like to do a demonstration of how to configure it. One thing it's very good for is gear swapping, and I'll demonstrate that now. You can see my character panel here. What I have configured an icon here that I can just click a bunch of times to load in all of my tanking gear, and then that icon closes, and I can do the same thing with this to wear all of my DPS gear just by clicking a bunch of times. So I'm going to show you how to, starting from scratch basically, how to configure the plugin to do this. My assumption is that you've already installed the plugin. You can get the plugin from lotrointerface.com, or if you have plugin compendium, it should install it for you automatically. So I'm just going to delete my plugin settings so I can start the same way you would start, which is with nothing configured. Find my settings. Okay. So to load the plugin, you go to the caret menu here, choose System, Plugin Manager. You should see the plugin listed over here. You click Load. If you'd like to automatically load the plugin when you log in, then you can choose your character name here, and it will automatically load for that character. As you can see here, when you first load the plugin for the first time, it will create a sequence bar for you. If you go to the options panel here in the plugin manager, you can see a list of all of the sequence bars that you have, and you can organize those bars into groups. By default, it has created a group here called New Group with a bar in it called New Bar. I actually don't want any groups for now. I'll add some groups later, but for now I think I'll just delete that group. So I'm going to move this bar into the top level group here and just delete this group. So to delete it, I can right click and say delete group. Okay, so for this first sequence bar, I want to make this my DPS gear sequence. So couple that DPS gear and make it some kind of a red color. That looks good. And yeah, I like that. Okay, so then I just need to add all of my inventory icons to that. You can go to your character panel and just start dragging things over here. As you can see, as I'm adding the icons to the sequence here, they're being populated in the sequence bar. What happened there? Bother with that. Okay, so I have now the beginnings of what I'm looking for. I can click one of these icons and it will scroll the next icon into position, so I don't move the mouse. I'm just clicking repeatedly. And when it gets to the end, it goes back to the beginning automatically. You can also reset it just by left clicking on the title. Okay. One thing to be careful of when you're equipping earrings or bracelets or regular rings is that if you have a couple of earrings in your inventory and you're already wearing a couple of earrings, then you can't just double click on each of those earrings to have them replace your existing earrings. What's likely to happen is that you double click on the first one, it goes into your left earring slot, and then you double click the second one and it goes to the same place, and you still end up with the right earring that you had there before. So what you really have to do is when you're getting ready to equip earrings, you need to unequip the ones that are already equipped. And so I have added a special command for that in the sequence editor here. First I'm going to insert some empty slots here, and then create a special slot for removing the earrings. So remove right earring, remove left earring. So now when I click these, you can see that my left earring slot is empty, right earring slot is empty. I'm equipping one and equipping the other. And I need to do the same thing for bracelets and rings. Let's do that real quick. Where's the other one? Okay. So that works. In this case, I actually don't want it to automatically reset because I don't want it to just keep rotating over and over again. So I can stop that just by inserting another special slot here at the end, which is stop animating. So it's like a stop sign there. Now when I get to the end, it just stops. And if you want to reset it, you can click on the title. So that's my DPS gear sequence. Now I can make another one for my tank gear, and an easy way to do that is just to create a clone of this one. That's a good way to start rather than having to redo everything. I can go to the plugin manager, just right click on the DPS gear bar and say clone. So now you see I have two copies of it here, and I'm just going to rename this one to tank gear, give it kind of a blue color. Okay, edit the sequence. Now for this one, I'm just going to put in some different gear. All of these remove equipment icons and everything stays the same. I'm just replacing the gear. So I bought some gear, some junk from a vendor basically. Let's see, shoulders, pants. etc. Okay, so now I have two separate sequence bars, one for loading tank gear and one for loading DPS gear. A couple of cosmetics things to do here. You can change the size of these sequence bars. If you're going to use this for skills, like skill rotations, then it's helpful to have more than one slot showing here. So in case you click on a skill and it doesn't work because the cooldown wasn't expired, you can go back. You just click on the one in the previous in the sequence, or you can skip ahead if you want to. So in that case, it's nice to have a wider bar, but for build swapping, it's really not necessary. So I like to just set the width to 1 slot. You can also change the orientation of these bars, and since I would kind of like the words to be below it, I'm gonna make this one go up. And same thing here. Change the size of this to 1 slot. Okay, and I don't really want to see this animation every time I click on it, so I could turn that off too. Let's go to settings, animation, instantaneous. You don't want to choose disabled. That basically will turn off the scrolling altogether, so it's basically just a static quick slot bar. We want to choose instantaneous. That way I can click through them very fast. Okay, another thing I want to do is I want to lock these in position on the screen so I'm not accidentally moving them. So there's a couple of things to help with that. There's a global setting here, snap to grid. That makes the bars kind of snap to a grid layout when you move them. And then for each bar I could use lock position. I've got these kind of overlapping, but only one of them is going to be visible at a time when I'm finished configuring this thing. And so there won't be a collision there. Another thing, I'm going to change the cursor style here. I like wireframe. Okay, so I now have two working bars here. The only thing to do now is I want to make only one of them be visible at a time. So the way I can do that is by using user events. What I can do here at the end of my sequence is create a special slot, generate user events. And I can generate an event which I can give any name I want to. So I'm going to call it open tank gear. Likewise, at the end of the tank gear sequence here, I'm going to generate an event called open DPS gear. So now when I get to the end of the sequence, it'll generate that event. Okay, so the only other thing I have to do now is respond to those events. And the way you can do that is back over in the options panel, create a group. I'm going to create a couple of new groups actually. Just right click there, create a new group. I don't need these. And I'm going to put each of these bars into a separate group. And I can configure, you notice over here on the right you can choose to hide or show a bar, and you'll see it appear or disappear over there. if I hide or show the group that contains that bar, then that will also, hide all of the bars that are inside it. So in order to respond to these events that I created, you can right-click on any group and choose Event Behaviors. And then all of the behaviors that you add to that group will apply to all of the bars inside that group. So for this group, I want the bars, I'm going to choose Enable Event Behaviors. Then you can do the same thing again. And you'll have some other options here. What I want to do is, for this bar, is I want the bar to show as soon as the Open DPS gear event occurs. I want the bar to hide as soon as the Open Tank gear event occurs. So I can add those behaviors here just by choosing Event Behaviors, Add Behavior, Show Group when user event occurs, Open DPS gear. I'm going to add another event behavior, Hide Group when user event occurs, Open Tank gear. So now you can see I've got two behaviors in this group that will respond to two different events. So I should call that the names here don't really matter. I'm just so I've configured this one to respond to the two events. I also need to configure this one to respond to the two events, but it's going to respond in the opposite manner. This one I want to show this bar when the Open Tank gear event occurs, and I want to hide the bar when the Open DPS gear event occurs. Okay. So let's give that a try. Okay, seems to work. Okay, that's we're almost there. The only other thing I want to do is I only want these bars to appear when I'm not in combat. There's really no point in having them there, fluttering their screen when I'm in combat, because you can't change your armor in combat anyway. So I need to add some more event handlers to hide everything when I go into combat, and then show everything when I come out of combat. So, but I don't want to add them to these existing groups that I made, because if I had an event behavior here, I could say show group when combat ends and hide group when combat begins. But then that's gonna be the same for both of these. I'll either see both of them or neither of them. When I enter combat, they'll both disappear. When I leave combat, they'll both appear. I don't ever want them both to be visible at the same time. So the way I can implement that behavior is by creating another group here. Oops, I want to do that. And this one is going to respond to the combat events. Gotta put these other existing groups inside that group. I don't need that. Okay, and then I'm gonna add the event handlers, the combat event behaviors to this top level group here. And then when I hide that group, all the groups inside it will be hidden. When I show the group, the groups inside will be shown, but only if they're shown individually. So if I've got this group hidden, then and I hide the higher level group, everything disappears. I show it again, still that group is not showing anymore. So I'm going to add the event behaviors here. Oops, looks like I'm getting attacked by a cliff heart. I thought those were peaceful animals. Sounds like the voices have changed. I'm on Bull Roar. Anyway, so I was adding the combat event handlers here, and event behaviors. When I show the group when combat ends, hide the group when combat begins. So let's see if that works. Start out with everything showing here. Put on my DPS gear. And it's open to kill. And it's opened again now that I'm not in combat anymore. Switch my tank gear. Okay. Well, that's about it. You guys have any comments, or if you find any bugs, or if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message either in the game or on lotrointerface.com or on the main Lotro forums. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good day.